Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Pan Dulce. Today we have semi-full house. We have a good warrior that decided to come and join us today. But before we welcome our guest, before we kind of chat here, let's welcome one of our co-hosts and producer, Mr. Number One here at Casa Cano, Christian Cano.
That was a good grito. Almost.
Gosh.
I don't know what that was.
The other half will be next week with my sombrero.
Yeah, that was kind of like a half grito. That was like a yeah.
I'm practicing.
Isn't there a day a grito festival or something?
Yes, but
September.
child, we live in Charlotte. What are you talking about?
No, there is one in Charlotte, isn't there?
Yeah, well, there's a grito festival. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ola does it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what a Grito festival is.
That yell.
There's
is,
even contests
Oh, okay.
of people that
I
can
did not
kind
realize.
of.
I mean, I knew there were yelling
That's a grito.
contests.
It's
Okay.
yelling. They call it
It's-
grito. It's a yell, but it's
Yeah.
not a yell.
And apparently,
But it's a important day on
It is.
Mexico.
Yes.
In Mexico, it's actually the Independence Day in
Oh,
Mexico.
okay.
yes.
And everybody screamed and did all that, so they call
Yeah,
it grito.
there's a
Okay.
big history behind it. I can't actually do that yell. I'd be embarrassed.
You
'cause
just
I
need
can't.
a couple of shot tequilas.
Yeah. I think it's like cross between a Native American and a cowboy yeehaw,
Mhm.
right?
Together.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
I mean, there's people that can actually
Yeah.
sing to it.
yes. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
educational.
I learned something today.
We're not just entertaining, we're
Latin American
educational.
history.
We're good and good for you.
Cultural.
Welcome to Coffee and Pandusa, everyone. Today is February the 19th. It is a week from today is actually Ash Wednesday. Yeah, so next Tuesday
Yes.
is Fat Tuesday,
Yeah.
which
we
is the
starting
holiday
that
that I
early?
celebrate. And so get your King's Cakes at Manolo's Bakery. We'll be talking about Manolo's
Not
here in a
King's
second.
Cake. King's Cake already passed.
Oh, I don't remember. Okay.
You celebrate Mardi Gras.
That's it, Mardi Gras. That's right. That's right. So we have a great show today. We're going to talk about some wonderful things going on. So let's stop the.
Gritos, Irish people also do a lot of that, but they do
Yes.
the.
Alexa, stop.
I did not know that.
We gotta do a lot of
Yeah.
research
So the
on
Irish
that.
people do the that what's that dance? River dance.
Yeah.
No,
And we do the hat dance.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
With hands back behind your back.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we're full of history today.
Yeah.
Today, welcome. Thank you for joining us on Facebook Live and those who join us later on YouTube and Facebook as well. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Once again, I said February the 19th. We are already in early voting here in North Carolina for our primary elections, which is on May the 3rd, and we have a special guest that we'll introduce here in a second. But before we introduce her, please share our show and tell your friends to watch us. We are going to start introducing everyone. We'll start from our right because you're always right. Tell me who you are. We know who you are, but tell me who you are and what button or what cause that it's important to you. Start on the right.
Ooh, it seems like he had a long night.
Yeah, actually, I was up late.
I can tell. Every time. When
Yes.
you don't talk right, I know where you've been
Yes.
at. Good morning. Ruth Perez here, community advocate. Two of my favorite buttons today. As y'all know, I have a lot of buttons. I am missing my guns. I didn't bring it today, but I am very concerned about that because we'll talk about it in a little bit. I do have Tom Steyer. That's my first choice for presidential candidate. I think he's doing a phenomenal job throughout the nation. And then Tara Long for our commissioner. We want her to get a seat because she is so involved and she knows she already has a good plan. Another one that I am supporting is Dimple Asmara. For some reason, I was telling you, there's no buttons for Dimple. I don't know why.
Yeah, they spent all the money on the big signs.
I should have brought my little flyer I received in my mail.
Yeah. I
I should have.
Excellent. Yeah, excellent.
I'm Jeff Scott, El Hombre del Pueblo. I can barely keep my eyes open today because
Were you
I
okay
am.
last night, too?
No, I've got a cold, so I've got tissues nearby. There will be, if
We'll be
there-
like this.
Good
Wendy's
everybody.
food.
Get the Corona.
If there are
Not the Corona.
if there are any children watching this, please turn it off now. This isn't gonna be pleasant. Anyway, I'm gonna try to stay alert and fun today. My button is.
I like your button.
This is, and I brought one for everybody because
Ooh.
this was
More
the
buttons.
last show. This is Lady Day, which was Lady Day at Emerson's Bar, which was the musical performance.
You
by-
went
and
after all?
Yeah, I did at
Oh,
the
wow.
Actors Theater.
Excellent.
So it was the last show of the Actors Theater this
Mhm.
season, and it was a great show. And they've announced their new season 32 coming up, which maybe we can talk about later, or maybe we can get the executive director to come and talk about the importance of
You have a
theater
task
and
to do.
culture. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
Excellent.
we'll try to get him in.
Awesome.
And on to
Wendy.
our guest. Wendy, introduce yourself.
Ma'am, introduce yourself. and-
Yeah. So hello everybody, my name is Wendy Mateo-Pascual, and many of you, I think you already know me as a civic engagement advocate in the Latino community, but today also I'm wearing the hat of the Latino liaison for Tom Steyer presidential campaign.
Oh.
What a great honor we have a Coffee and Pan Dulce here to have this lady with us.
Excellent. Well, listen, thank you for joining us, and I think it's
Good morning, Lynn.
Good morning, Lynn. And when you walked in, we were telling you I was watching CNN, and they had Domingo Garcia, who's from Dallas, but he's the president of the LULAC, League of Urban Latin American Chamber or Citizens, and then they had Ana Navarra, who's a commentator, Republican commentator, but she's LatinX as well, and they were talking about the importance of the Latino vote and how important it is in Nevada and even in South Carolina and so forth. So we'll talk about that as well. But thank you for joining us, because I think many people understand that the Latino vote will decide many elections.
It's very
in
crucial.
Many states.
It's very crucial.
It's very crucial, and I see that a lot of Latinos are not putting too much effort into it, and they're thinking that they're being the last Coca-Cola on the desert.
Mhm.
But it shouldn't be that way. They should step up and hear the right voices and make their decisions, because we need their votes.
I think what's really important is Ana Navarra, what she said was a Latino voter.
Yeah.
First of all, we're very diverse.
Mhm.
You know, we're not just.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and we've talked about that before because the
Jacob
Latin,
Lumber was on there.
the Latin world is not homogenous,
Yes.
and they're not monolithic in their voting habits and stuff, and they have a very wide range of political
Correct.
beliefs. Some very radical, some very conservative.
And in this
so-
race, you can tell that everybody's trying to shine
Mhm.
just through the election time. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, my concern is for you to go back.
Well, that's what Ana Navarra said.
Try to
She-
go
she-
back.
She said you have to earn the Latino vote.
Correct.
You can't just show up and say "si se puede."
Mhm.
You know.
And Tom is doing a really good job on Nevada,
Mhm.
because the history of the work that he have been doing with the Latino community
Mhm.
in different states,
Without thinking.
without thinking
Yes.
to run for presidential. So he started working with the Latino community in 2012
Oh wow.
and
Yeah.
promoting the Latino community civic engagement and
Mhm.
empowerment. So he has a history.
In opening, I've
working.
noticed that he opened different organizations to
Mhm.
help the Latinos to
Mhm.
get back on their feet. The new families arriving, new immigrants.
Yeah.
I mean, they support on the border. They have a house. They support families. So I've been following his steps and kind of digging into the information. That's the main reason why I
Mhm.
personally support him. Not for right now, not because if he has money, and I'm very pleased that he has enough money that he's not accepting no PACs.
Yeah.
He's not accepting no little gifts, and he's actually expending his money what he wants.
And that he has the power to be strong.
Yes.
Because we
Yeah.
have to be reality.
Exactly.
And if you have money, you can do a campaign that you can win.
Yeah.
So he have that capacity because he also have the experience as a businessman and be on a very profitable business. So, and now he's using a lot of this money to be able to make a change in this country.
Well, he definitely seems to be one. Well, there's two billionaires running, him and Bloomberg, and,
Oh,
and
Lord.
and he definitely seems to be the one who has had a track record of putting his money where
The
his mouth
community.
is. Yeah,
Correct.
exactly. So
Yeah.
let's salute to
Well,
coffee.
Wait a
Go ahead.
second. Let me object to
Okay.
that because,
Oh, Lord.
because I'm not a Bloomberg supporter.
Yes.
I'm not a Steyer
Yeah.
supporter.
You're a Jacob.
No, you're not.
And I'm
You
not
have to.
I'm not voting
You
in the
too.
Democratic primary because
Yeah.
I'm a registered
Yeah.
libertarian.
Libertarian.
Okay.
And so, but Bloomberg certainly has put his money where his mouth is.
But it seems to be.
And you
No,
know,
he's
he,
putting his
and
money.
he was a Republican up until what, 2000?
That's what I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
tell you.
Yeah.
He's
But
putting
no.
his money
Yeah.
to erase where his mouth was. Sorry, but
Okay.
it's the truth.
Well, we're going to talk. We're going
Okay.
to dig deeply into the presidential candidates
Yeah.
and so
Okay.
forth because we are in that.
Good morning,
But,
Jasania.
but before, let's go ahead and salute to Coffee and Panduce.
Yeah.
And I do want to say that we are without our fourth co-host, Jenny-Jaymes Gunn, who is will be back right after the election, hopefully on the show right after the election.
I
And
hope
so, we do miss you, Jenny.
Jenny, we miss you.
And we love you.
I feel lonely here.
Yes, and so we do have people already asking questions already, and we'll get to those questions. But I want to thank, full disclosure once again, I did not make it to Manolo's yesterday. So I do have some Panduce, but this is from Bimbo. And
I was going to say it holds up well.
it sure does. And so, but that Panduce is from last week, the pink one. So I'd be careful eating that one. But the other ones, I'm sure, are okay, and there's some rest of the stuff. So,
Any Hersters.
yeah.
We don't know the shelf life on these
That's
things.
right. Please visit Manolo's Bakery on Central Avenue for your tamales, your cakes, all kinds of wonderful stuff. They are, we want to make sure that
You know who
support.
visit Manolo's Bakery? I found out yesterday. David Tapper.
Yeah.
They did a documentary about.
Oh,
the
really?
bakery and
Yeah,
stuff.
I think actually he asked Manolo questions about our community and
Mhm.
the soccer stadium
Yeah.
and all that kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, Manolo's a pretty sought after advisor, so to
Mhm.
speak. But all right, so before we talk about the presidential campaigns and Tom Steyer's campaign as well, I want to let you know, in full disclosure, we invited people from all campaigns. We invited
We did.
a person who from Bloomberg who we have not been able to pin down. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The Bernie person, Emma, wants to be on our show. She may be on our show next week
I hope so.
as well. She's the coordinator for the Bernie Sanders campaign. Elizabeth Warren did not respond to our request, and Pete Buttigieg did not respond to our request.
Pete,
and actually,
Pete Buttigieg did not respond.
and actually,
He's taking care of the business that went through it.
yes. So actually, Anna Navarro mentioned was talking about how insulting it was that Pete Buttigieg was trying to court the Latino voters in Nevada by like saying a sentence in Spanish, and it came off like really cheesy.
Yeah.
And I agree. I equate that to elected officials who show up at black churches like right before the election. And
it's very challenging. I was watching a show on Sunday where the Latino Spanish television, a very national television network, did interviews with Bernie Sanders, Tom Steyer, Bloomer, and Buttigieg. And none of them knew our
The
Mexican
The president of
president's
Mexico.
name.
I was gonna.
Oh, but I thought
That was yes.
Okay, so
That was so
I-
embarrassing.
I'm glad you said that. So I'm glad you said that.
Because then I remember everyone has to apply for the
Yes,
job.
That's
No,
right.
I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that, but let's be. I agree. It was the only one who knew the president was Pete Buttigieg.
Mhm.
He knew the name of the president of
Yeah.
Mexico, and the president is a newly elected person.
Yeah.
But has run forever.
That is true.
That's like, who doesn't know Bernie Sanders?
So the person that you need to, and I think that really highlights the importance of knowing the audience that
Knowledge.
you're talking to.
Mhm.
Whoever prepares him, whatever his aide is or his strategist, or everyone has a body person who kind of
Correct.
helps the person before they go on stage. And that person should have said, hey, let's go over some things. Those are basic questions that they're going to ask you. Who's the president of Mexico? What are the issues in Latin America right now? Who's the president of Argentina? What's the issue in Argentina, Venezuela?
Mhm.
Those are things you would think. So I would be very upset at the person, and we actually know one of the advisors for Tom.
No, Lord.
And so I hope that they learn from that experience,
Yeah.
and that is kind of an amateur
That's
mistake.
right. Well, thank goodness no one
Yes.
got asked about Aleppo, Syria.
What's Syria?
So, okay,
Jeff.
all right, no, that is funny because when I was debating Robert Pittenger, and I was debating him in Cumberland County in Fayetteville, and it was being broadcasted live, and we had practiced for like 2 days about issues, domestic issues.
Yeah.
All of their questions were international issues.
Oh,
and
wow.
they asked us, will you stay in Syria or do you support this? Well, Pittenger just spit out, well, Syria and this. And I said, well, I support President Obama's stance on Syria. And the guy said, well, let's follow up. What is that stance? I had no idea. And I watched that tape today, and I'm so embarrassed because I had it was like, what happened was we didn't talk about anything.
Yeah.
International.
So that was our fault for not preparing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the thing about Aleppo, of course, is that Gary Johnson in 2016, because he was so aggressive about going out and doing every media that would have him, because that's what third parties have to do, that eventually they caught him.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
They caught him
I
on
remember
something,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So that was Mike Barnacle, who was kind of an asshole, who just said, "What about Aleppo?" And
he was like,
he went, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And so it's just one of those talking points that came back to haunt him later. But even then, I think that they were just looking to find something.
Kind of
So it could have been anything, right? They could have messed him up on any number
national
of things.
television is kind of messed up.
And make it viral and spend all that money, because there's a lot of money in the kitty for negative campaigning to make your opponents look dumb.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I agree, but but I think that kind of highlights how hard it is to run for office. The information that people they expect you to know everything about everything.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're human beings. We don't know everything about everything.
Right.
So,
So then that we both campaigned, right? So when we go out there and there's something that we don't know, you're always making a calculation. Am I going to try to BS my way through this and pretend like I know a lot more than I really know? Or am I just going to take the humble position and say, I haven't really looked at that. I really don't know the answer. I can give you a big picture answer, but that might not satisfy you.
But that's a good shot, though.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, because that would be a good shot. Because I prefer somebody that doesn't really know.
That's right.
Instead of making false promises.
But I remember out in Scotland County, I was at an event and someone asked a very difficult question about, some kind of federal grant sharing stuff, and I didn't really know the answer, and I said, I don't really know the answer to this, but let me give you my framework, how I would look at it. And someone afterwards was really angry with me for not angry with me, but called me on it for saying, "Don't ever say you don't know."
So
they wanted to hear politicians say that they knew
we're
the
going to
answer.
have a game next week.
Right.
Very special questions.
Alexa, who is the president of Mexico?
The president of Mexico is Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador.
Andres Manuel Lopez is the president.
I needed
To me, all I have to say is I'm low.
Okay. Thank you, Alexa. All right, so that's why all candidates should carry Alexa around with them, so that way, just in case they don't know. But you're right. I didn't actually know. I know President Fox, who has not been in office for a long time. But so
you don't know the novela from the past before Obrador?
No, I don't.
Oh Lord.
No,
Okay.
the little guy.
No, the slim guy that left his wife and now he's with another model and.
God, you got all the skin, don't you? You
Watch
watch it. All right.
You watch the
I watch
telenovela.
political stuff.
Yes.
No.
So let's talk about the presidential election.
Yes.
So obviously this is a presidential election year, very important. Once again, the most important election of our lifetime. All that kind of wonderful stuff. right now, according to the Pew polling that just was released Monday or Tuesday, Donald Trump is polling about 30% within the Latino community, which is, it went up from 20% to 30%, which is pretty high for him for various reasons. So there are a lot of Latinx people that are voting for him, are supporting him right now. I think that's definitely going to change whenever the nomination comes around and they become familiar with whoever, because he's been using, seems like the Latino community as a divisive issue.
Thank you. He just released, or what is it, forgiveness? Yeah.
Pardons
A lady last night or yesterday, this Cuban girl that did fraud and all this, and she was sentenced for so many years, and she's only been there in prison for 8, and he pardoned her.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's coming out.
Okay.
So that kind of opens up the door to a false good person.
Yeah.
Right.
That will allow Rafael. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
That will make our Latino community think, oh, he's gonna change his mentality. Oh, he's gonna probably give us some papers. Oh, he's gonna probably do something. So no.
Well, what do you think the base Hispanic vote for a generic Republican would be? Like, if you're thinking, going back as far back as, whether it's Bob Dole or, John McCain or Mitt Romney or whoever is, how many, on average, what was their percentage of Latin vote?
That's a great question.
Was it 10%, 15, 20%?
That's a good question. I'm sure that's something that Rafael probably would know, who actually was trying to
I
call
have
you.
to invite Rafael to come
because he
over.
knows all that data.
I'm gonna invite him to come and explain to me what about his endorsements. Yeah.
Well, but I will say that I think it's a generational issue.
Yeah.
Wendy can kind of speak to this because she can talk to us about her candidacy. But I can tell you, like my family, for example, like my mom and her age, they're very conservative on certain issues, like they're pro-life, they're secure the border kind of individuals, which that's their thing. It's almost as if though I've learned how to live in America. I don't want things to change.
So wait a minute, your mom's a Republican?
Yes, she voted for Tom Cruise. I mean Ted Cruz.
Oh, Tom Cruise!
Tom Cruise and Ted Cruz. Yes. But it seems like many of the younger the younger ones are more progressive.
Yeah.
So the baby boomers and the Gen X ones seem to be more conservative. Probably they probably emulate the rest of the population.
Right.
And then the younger ones are more progressive because they want changes. They've seen their parents go through those kind of changes.
So it sounds like, if they're older, they've assimilated and they're kind of everybody else.
We met a young man at Jacob Hornberger, Latinx individual who graduated from UNC Charlotte, and was a huge libertarian. Remember?
Yeah. We've got we've got a lot of Latinos coming through.
So
how can we target them though to make sure that their votes, because we're not allowed to suggest or force a vote. But I mean, how can we kind of change their mentality to make sure that they think right? Because when you talk about progressive, and a lot of Latinos are looking at Trump as the moneymaker right now. Yeah. A money machine. It's creating jobs. It's raising up our economy. It's doing all this, blah, 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 blah. So they have not dig deeply inside yet, and they're just going by what they hear.
Well, we got a person here that can share that with us. So you are here representing the Tom Steyer campaign. We actually met with Tom Steyer. He had a luncheon to tell us who he was. I was very impressed. I was very impressed by what I heard and what I saw. I'm actually supporting Bernie Sanders, but Tom Steyer is a second for me.
That's good.
And so here at our house, we're splitting our vote. One's voting for Tom Steyer, one's voting for Bernie Sanders.
He won't say who.
Yeah, I'm voting for Bernie.
So the other one is voting for Tom.
Exactly. So tell us who Tom Steyer is, why our Latinx voters should consider him, because they will make a big difference in North Carolina Nevada, a lot of the states were
South Carolina.
South
also,
Carolina.
yeah.
So when
Arizona.
you have the floor. Tell us.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as I mentioned before, one of the things why I personally am supporting Tom is because the track record. He is one, and one of the things that we always talk about is the Latino community have a voting power, but most of the candidates, they don't go to the Latino community. They don't try to engage the Latino community, and Tom have been working with the Latino community for many years and educating, empowering the Latino community. So for me, that is important because before to decide to run, he saw the importance to engage and that the Latino community participate and to create policies that will support and help the Latino community to grow economically here in the country. So this is one of the things. But also the platform, the proposal that he is bringing to the country. As a businessman, he knows how the economy works. And he knows how he can work to continue growing jobs and also to distribute the wealth and the way that the minority community and the poor people can participate in a different way in the economy. One of the things that Tom is proposing is to increase the minimum wage to $22. Most of the candidates, I'm proposing $15.
Everybody's mad at me for that.
$15. He is proposing $22. And that will help the low income class and the middle class to go up and be able to participate in different way in the economy. And will create wealth. The other thing that he is doing is, and he has been doing for a long time, is to make the corporation to pay their fair share. So instead to cut taxes for the corporation, cut taxes for the middle class, that the professional class can continue doing things, and that the corporation stay paid, and use that money to support the different programs that he is creating. So having that experience to work and do things against the corporation, especially because his main point is climate change. And we all know if we don't have the earth, we cannot do anything. So we have to work to make sure that we can continue having the air and we have clean air and we have an environment that we can live. So he has been fighting the oil corporation so for many years. So he will be able to continue doing and make the corporation to pay for all the money that they are doing. The other point that is important for me, and I think for the Latino community that Tom is proposing, is the health care. A timely, equally, and affordable health care is a right for everybody. So he is proposing to a public option that will be a universal healthcare system that everybody will have access to healthcare. And one of the things, out of the 33 developed countries in the world, United States is the only one who doesn't have a universal care system that support and provide service for everybody. So he is proposing that he will be a process. He start enacting again the Affordable Care Act, reestablishing the people, because we know and we have the experience when Obama passed the Affordable Care Act, millions and millions of people start receiving and have the opportunity to have insurance. And when this government start cutting that, millions and millions of people lose healthcare services.
Well, those are some very good points, and I think obviously they're in line with the Democratic Party, and those are actually very progressive kind of things. We have some questions from people in our audience, but I know I can, because I know Jeff. I can sense.
But Jeff, you have to be me.
I can sense some questions already. Jeff, do you have anything you want to say?
Well,
I saw when you said the minimum wage issue. I could just see his hair.
Yeah, I've been getting a lot of those.
So Jeff,
Well, I don't want to single out. Is it Steyer or Stayer?
Steyer.
Steyer. I don't want to single him out for having particularly bad policies because it is in line with most of the Democratic program of, raising the minimum wage, which I think is absurd. If 22 is good, why not 50? So the idea that just because he's a businessman and he's got some sort of special insight into the way the price system works, well, just shows me he's sort of BSing his way through it because he's just picking a number out of a hat. I do believe in a market economy and business in the business world and in commerce that wages need to be free. I believe in I believe in the price system.
That's the libertarian
I believe that they should be.
That's the libertarian, right?
That's all contract. Yeah, I don't believe in wage controls. So that's essentially a form of wage control. Right?
But do you think that if we don't have wage control, the corporation will pay the worker a way that the worker class can really live? Because right now we have a control wage, and it's 7.5. So if we left the corporation and the company to decide how much they will pay to the worker,
would wages all be driven down to $7.50 an hour?
I don't think so.
I think
they will keep it.
I was at a high school economics class, and people were talking about the minimum wage, and I asked everybody to raise their hand if they had a job, and if they were making the minimum wage, to keep their hand up, and everybody dropped their hand. So even those high school kids, in whatever jobs they were working in, they were all making above minimum wage. Okay, so.
But that is not the reality for the Latino community. Most of the Latino community are working in service, and they are making 7.5 on many of the companies that are big companies that I won't say the name here, and that is what they are doing. And the one that go about that get to 10. Now you are professional. This is other thing. Construction. Many people are doing a lot of money, but most of the people are making 7.5 and $13,000 a year. So that they have to have 3-4 jobs to be able to cover.
Because I know you, Jeff, and I understand your view on letting the market dictate that. I understand what you're saying. I think the challenge that I see in what you're saying, but also I understand the need to somehow assist. It seems like currently we live in an era where socialism is practiced with corporations. And capitalism is practiced with individuals here, and it's not reverse. Companies here don't practice capitalism; they practice socialism. The government really subsidizes their profits, and so it is difficult for people to have empathy with a company like Walmart, who is making tremendous profits, or Amazon, or any, let's say Harris Teeter, whatever company. When they are paying their employees such a minimum, a low wage, and basically the taxpayer has to subsidize that employee with social services because they can't afford health care, because they can't afford food, and so the taxpayer ends up subsidizing the company. If the companies paid them a living wage, we could save all of that money in social services. We wouldn't have to give food stamps to people who were living because
an affordable living.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we have to pay. Someone has to pay for it.
Of course,
if there is a person who is in need, whether it's health insurance or whatever.
If it's an emergency, I understand.
Yeah.
If it would be an emergency, everybody goes through struggles. But on a regular basis, people are not making enough money to support their family.
Yes.
So our money has to be invested, or I wouldn't say invested.
I just don't see how imposing a minimum wage resolves that problem, because basically you're preventing other poor people from entering into the market. I mean, once you create labor shortages
Sure.
when you do that, because some people can't enter the marketplace. So this is sort of, I hate to sound like an economist, right? Because we're just talking about the basic economic rules of the world that are fairly non-controversial. You know, if people want to work and they're offering their labor, they're simply, you know, saying, I'm going to do it for less than the other person. And, you know, if a guy wants to, you know, mow my lawn for $5 an hour or $10 an hour or $15 an hour, I'm free to accept it or reject it. Now, if you want to be critical of, you know, the Walton family fortune or Jeff Bezos for making a lot of money, well, they're providing a lot of consumer goods to people at very low costs.
But we're subsidizing it.
Yeah.
And that's the issue.
The thinking is
because that's what happened back in 2007 to 2010. A lot of companies, there were a lot of buildings out here. There were a lot of contractors and stuff. Companies came from Texas, from Arizona, Nevada, and they came and lowered our prices, doing the job cheaper. They hurt themselves and they hurt our economy.
By doing a better job, cheaper, and offering
not
lower
a better
prices.
job, just offering lower prices because they were desperate moving from another state down here.
Okay.
And they were coming with that mentality, maybe in Texas it's cheaper to hang drywall, not in Charlotte.
Oh, you're talking about construction
wise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens is that when companies take advantage of low rate, it affects everyone. And all it helps is their pockets and make their own money.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the profit motive and the profit system.
Jab!
You said that you have questions.
Some of the questions
There's nothing wrong.
have.
There's nothing wrong with seeking profits in a free economy, in a free world.
If we would have no
Are you not seeking profits when you start a
but
business?
not that way.
Not that way. No,
Okay.
again.
So you think there are some better ways of doing it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because you know what? If we want equality and equity, we want to have the same as you and help each other. And that way, if I have an orange.
Equality of income, equality of wealth.
Listen, if I have an orange, okay, and that's my money.
Yeah.
But I see you that want to start a business or something. I have my orange and you don't have nothing. If I cut my orange and get you a piece out to help you get back into become one of my level, you're going to be making money down the road and I will too. Okay? It's not that I'm going to take advantage of you and tell you, oh, I'm going to give you this piece and then I want you to return to me 2 oranges back. You know what do you understand what I'm saying?
Well, if you can imagine a world without banking and financial intermediation where people simply sort of hand over stuff to other people,
And that's the way we used to
that
be.
would be great.
I get,
But I don't think that world exists.
The question,
Hi, Philip.
a question we have, will Tom Steyer, can you assure voters that Tom Steyer will not invest in the prison pipeline?
That's a great question.
Yes, that is
Okay.
one of the things that he said, because he will invest in the education from the little one, from the pre-K to the up, and he will invest on promoting enterprise in the high school, and also to help to reduce the loan interest for the student to go to college, that everybody can have the opportunity to go and educate, but also to invest in social services in school, invest on engage parents in school, that we can prevent a lot of the situations that are generating now that our teenagers and our young people go from the school to the prison.
Excellent. Another question was, someone commented about what you said was called starvation wages. But I'm very curious because I understand what you're saying. Because I last night I went after I went to Cynthia Wallace event and went to the county commissioner's doodad, and I end up at my sports bar, and a neighbor of mine was sitting next to me, and we kind of had a conversation about Medicare for all.
Yeah.
And he's a libertarian.
Yeah.
And
I was gonna say, was that Fudd?
No, it wasn't. Fudd was there, but he was libertarian, and we were talking about kind of some issues and how to pay for things and so forth. And I think that the sense I'm getting from people, especially our working class people, was they elected. Many of them voted for Donald Trump, thinking that he was going to be different and he was going to actually try to help the working class and try to level the playing field. And it doesn't seem like he's been doing that. He's been really focusing on either himself or some other things. And so I do think that the reason that Tom Steyer is talking about his business experience is because I think most people understand that Donald Trump is really more of a he's a self-promoter. He's probably not as rich as he really says. He's kind of like a salesman.
He's a brand.
And his casinos really have not done very well. They've many of them have gone bankrupt. His businesses have not done very well. I think what Tom Steyer is saying is that those people who maybe have voted for him because they thought, oh, good, this is a businessman who's going to be in office who knows how to run businesses, which was completely wrong, that Tom Steyer can maybe appeal to those individuals because he actually was a hedge fund manager, and made his money that way. So that may, I think that's what...
experience to make the economy work and the work with the corporation and also work with the community.
So
my objection to that is that he may have that experience, but it's not reflected in his policies, which I think are sort of very bad for the economy. But having said that, let me try to come up with one thing that I think I would. I think there's two things that I might agree with him on.
Okay.
And we can maybe talk about foreign policy in a couple of minutes. But something we talked about related to Medicare for all. So we know that, and I've come to believe this over time too. And it first dawned on me maybe 8 or 9 years ago when I found myself working as a contractor, right? And that's the employer-based healthcare plan, right? So over time, I've come to really understand how terrible that system is, and how the fact that there are a lot of people, a lot of close personal friends of mine who are still working in, financial services, and they're working in regular jobs, and they've got plans through their work. These plans are bad, and that whole system is very bad. But the idea that that you can do something politically about it because people are so entrenched. People love these little freebies that they're getting from their company, right? They think they're getting a good deal, but employers are actually terrible buyers of healthcare, right? Yeah. So it's this terrible third party thing that has made it inaccessible for average people, and so it's made it very difficult for people who are contracting or who have irregular employment to keep any kind of healthcare coverage at all. So to the extent that Medicare for All tries to say, let's deal with that problem so we can have something that makes a little more sense, I agree with. Right. Now, I don't agree with Medicare for All, but I agree with the basic idea.
But you understand the need.
Let's record it. It's right there. He agrees.
I agree with the basic idea that I think both libertarians and progressives share, that the employer-based system after World War II, subsidizing employee health care was a bad idea. Okay. And it's had terrible repercussions.
So
and it is one of those third rails. It's like the third rails of I don't know, maybe Republican voters. I don't know if it's Democratic voters.
So you heard it first. Today, on February the 19th, a libertarian is one step closer to understanding improved Medicare for all. So I am just...
The basics. He made it clear, the basics.
So at least he's admitting that we haven't...
I'm not the first one to do this, right? I mean, Cano and Reason and all the libertarian think tanks have looked at this and said, gee, this employer healthcare thing, everybody loves it, but it's really sucks. And so the idea that we would have to, you know, if you're a writer,
Trying
a
to
think
implement
tank
it,
person,
or
and you got to write about this, is you're alienating big parts of your constituency. People are going, well, wait a second, I like getting health care through my employer. I go to the employer,
But no one likes. No one
I
likes
fill
their
out all
insurance.
these forms, and
Yeah.
then they give me a choice of different plans, the blue and the red and the green or whatever, and then I get to choose it, and they put in money, and I put in money, and then they don't realize what a rotten deal that is. They're getting a rotten deal. Not only that, they're jacking up prices for everybody else
Yes.
because they're not paying attention to the prices.
Yeah.
They're not paying attention when they walk through the door. They're not saying, how much does this cost? They're not price shopping.
Because they can't. They're
That's right. They're
yeah.
locked into this
Yeah.
I saw a
third-party
report
negotiation scheme, and it's terrible.
on Channel 9, a lady wanted something to do with her surgery.
Ruth M.
Oral, you
Yeah.
seen it? And she called her doctor, she
Yeah.
questioned, she asked him how much was going to be, and then she ends up getting 3 different bills.
Yeah.
Over $3,000.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
it's happened to me.
That's
It's happened to
crazy.
me. But that is something I think Tom Steyer and I would probably agree on. But it again, it's a third rail.
When he's back,
good that you agree
when he's
with
back
Juan.
in town, we'll make
Yes.
sure that you
He's
come.
coming
Okay?
on March 1st. You
Yes.
have to go and
So,
talk
we
to me.
will-
So the second thing would probably be foreign policy, right?
Okay.
Because I have not watched
Foreign
the Democratic
policy, okay.
debates, right? But I did hear
Mhm.
secondhand or third hand or through a tweet or something that Tom Steyer, during one of the debates, was pretty good
Yeah.
Yes,
on foreign
he was.
policy and regime
He-
change.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
So-
he was.
So enlighten me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He was, and also one. He was talking that we have to manage the relation with other country, building coalition in other way, different what we are doing now, that we are destroying all the coalition that we have and position as a country that we are alone and we are not working with other people. But other thing that also Tom having was in the last debate that was the only one that brought the conversation is about the racism and how the racism is part of the root for the economy that we have today and the problem that we have today in the country.
Racism?
What is?
Racism.
Oh,
Racism.
Okay.
Oh, racism.
Racism.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, so I did he talk specifically about any of for regime change, for example, our policies of going over and taking out governments that we don't like,
Yeah.
whether that's in Syria, Iraq,
I-
Iran, Afghanistan,
I think we asked them about that.
Well, I will say that one of the things that this is a little bit of an unusual. Well, this is an unusual election
Yeah.
period, but
Yeah.
it is a little bit unusual. It is. I agree with you, Jeff. Not a lot of questions at these debates, and there's a debate tonight going to occur as well. Not a lot of questions have been about foreign policy.
Yeah.
A lot of the questions have been about domestic issues, and I think my understanding is I think the consensus with most people, whether you're Republican and unaffiliated or Democrat, is Trump has done so bad on foreign policy that whoever it is going to be better. So there doesn't seem to be a debate on where they stand on foreign policy because I think most people already understand you can't be worse than Trump.
Well, I got a slightly different take on
Okay.
that.
Because no one's asking about it.
Well,
Yeah.
no one's asking
Yeah.
about it because basically they support. I mean, Juan Guaido. Nancy Pelosi was applauding Juan Guaido. They're basically the foreign policy consensus between the Democrats and the Republicans. You can't squeeze a dime between them.
Yeah.
Right. So.
But I think
You mentioned
people,
Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I know she's a Democrat. However, do you know the numbers of libertarians that are in the White House?
No.
Do we have any?
There are people who consider themselves,
not consider
libertarians.
being registered because that has to do a lot. It's not only about what Trump is enforcing about the policies on the foreign policies, but it has to do a lot with who's bringing policies, ideas to the table.
That's
I mean, if you have a role and you have a seat, you're going to have to be accord with everyone else, and everyone has to have a consensus.
I'm in the minority. I'm in the very serious minority, as are the Greens. So third parties, the Greens, and libertarians are anti-war,
But they're
pro-peace
not.
party.
None of them have a seat inside the government.
That's right. That is why we're third parties, because we absolutely hate the Democrats and Republicans working together to create
Policies or
malevolence
Well,
around the globe.
well,
that's what we hate.
But
that's why we're doing what we're doing.
But that's the reason that I think, or what I have sensed, is a candidate like Tom Steyer, a candidate like Bernie Sanders is doing
well. Tulsi,
and even maybe even
Tulsi Gabbard is the only anti-war Democrat.
I mean, the same. The person I was talking to last night is the sense I feel is the same feeling I got when Trump was running in 2016, where the establishment Republicans were getting panicky because they thought, oh, surely he's not going to win, but just in case, we need to make sure that he doesn't win. That's the same feeling I'm getting from the establishment Democrats about Tom Steyer and Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And
They're getting theirs. I think they actually want Bloomberg. That Bloomberg seems to be to them more of an establishment person. At least he seems to someone that they can kind of control, or maybe he controls them or whatever. But it's the same, like from social media to everything. It's like, oh my gosh, we actually might lose control of you. Where Pelosi is. That's the same feeling I get. And so the same energy the same excitement that people who felt disenfranchised, who supported Donald Trump when he was running, I sense that same change in what they're looking for in the Democratic candidate. So anyway, we're going to be running short on time. But
They're looking for it. Are you saying that they're?
I want to
looking for a
invite
change.
for the event that we have today.
Okay, yes.
Tonight.
Tell us about that
Yes,
again.
yes. Tonight we have a community session,
Okay.
and we will be sharing more about town proposal for this country, and will be tonight at 6 o'clock Punta Cana restaurant in South Boulevard.
Okay.
And we will have drink and food and everything that we like it, but we will be sharing about town and also educating people how they can vote, when and when they can vote. Also, if you are voting for the first time, or you are not clear, or you don't know where to go to vote, come tonight to us and participate in the conversation about town that we have, that you will have all the information and also learn about his policy. Tonight, 6 o'clock, Punta
And
Cana
everyone's
restaurant.
welcome.
Everyone welcome.
Exactly. So you're welcome if you want.
You are welcome. Come with us.
I don't want to infect everybody
Yeah.
with the.
You can come and
with the
eat
Dos
dinner
Equis
with
virus.
us.
Yeah.
We were going to talk about the importance of the Latinx vote, but I think we've kind of
That
talked
is-
about that.
Yeah, we kind of stand it up. The only
Yeah.
thing that I'm very concerned, I mean, we have to keep in mind that we live in Charlotte. So
Yes.
Yeah.
what's happening in Charlotte?
Yeah.
What's going on? How do we feel as residents, as citizens, as I would say as leaders? Because sometimes we are walking forward and doing our best, but then someone on top of us that is supposed to be giving us a good direction kind of things us out. So
I'm not sure who she's talking about.
oh, you know who I'm talking
Our
about.
mayor?
You know who I'm talking
Is she about our
about.
mayor?
Yes, I am.
I'm glad you said that.
Yes, I am.
So
I am talking about our mayor.
I thought that was very interesting. That
That really blew
you're
my
right,
head off.
That our mayor, the great divider, in Charlotte, she has come out publicly to endorse Bloomberg,
Yep.
which I thought was, first of all, I'm not sure why she would do something so silly like that, but she's done a lot of silly things,
Yeah.
and so nothing surprises me by what she does. I don't know who.
Well, it did bother
talks to
me
her.
as a person.
Yeah.
Not as a, let me take
Yeah.
my leader hat
Yeah.
off, but as a person, as a
Yeah.
resident here, as my vote
Mhm.
when we elected her. Because I remember last year,
Yeah.
about this time of the year, when immigration was having all these little
Yeah.
games behind my immigrant families,
Yeah.
she hid behind doors and she
Oh,
said she was not the type
she-
of person that would publicly announce or say
Endorse-
any
endorse,
good stuff.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
we asked her
she's-
for an endorsement that's, about protection,
Yeah.
to do the same thing that other mayors did, and
Yeah.
she refused. So now something comes out like this.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
That's a good point. I think she's been a disappointment to many people, and
Even to her family.
Well, you're right. Her daughter has come out and said that she was
very
not
saddened.
happy about that and so forth. But I do think that it is. I think Mayor Lyles' endorsement has now become like Hugh McCall's endorsement. Yeah. Anytime Hugh McCall endorses someone, it's like, oh, good. Now we're not going to vote for that person. And Mayor Lyles, now that she's endorsed
I'll
Bloomberg,
take it like that.
No, I mean Mayor Lyles has become a joke, and her endorsements to people, it's so.
I don't know. I mean, why is she endorsing Bloomer? And then, she has all the community against her for RNC. Yeah. She has, it's so crazy. I mean, I'm planning to take a trip in May. Yeah. Remember I told you all last year?
That's right.
I ain't going to be here for the RNC.
Well,
that's for sure.
The good news is, we have elections, and when she's up for re-election, I'm sure that we will finally have someone who will.
And that's something that I'm kind of finding out. We don't have to wait for a re-election.
Yeah, we can.
There's things that we can do as a community, as a people voice. We can lift up certain amount of signatures and get somebody else.
I don't know if you can do it.
The first thing you have to have somebody that will.
Yeah.
Oh, we have plenty.
We have to find.
Yes,
somebody
we have plenty.
Do you want to say anything about that?
Well,
Jeff don't even worry about who, what.
Yeah, I don't.
He's
understand.
in theaters.
I don't understand the endorsement thing unless there's like a lot of money behind it.
Well, she's getting.
It seems like there's a lot of money. It's like the African American politic thing they did yesterday. Yeah. I refuse. I'm very upset about them because we're talking about inclusion. Mm-hmm. Let me tell y'all, there's a hard-working guy that is running, Luis Toledo, down in Raleigh. And if we don't show any support and we don't see his track of work, why would you endorse somebody that doesn't do anything for our community? Just for the money?
Yeah. Well, I'm one who believes if you're an elected official, that you should not endorse anyone until after the primary.
Thank you.
That you should let voters make a decision for the primary. So anyone who is elected in our party, in the Democratic Party, I think, that's something the Democrats.
I don't think she should be doing it either. I agree with you. If people ask her who you're voting for, she could say, "Well, I'm going to vote for Bloomberg."
Exactly. Yeah.
But to come out and
publicly
get on this high horse and say I'm endorsing.
Well, I've jokingly said that we have one of the dumbest mayors in the United States because the D.C. mayor was given $4 million for a project for their endorsement. Yeah. The Houston mayor was given a lot of money for a project.
Yeah.
The mayor endorsed her for nothing, and so she's really not a very good business person. Maybe
you never know.
Maybe she got some more peroxide for her hair because she's gone blonde.
Well, you never know. But that might be something really. I like your joke, but you never know. She might end up getting something not for the city, but maybe personally. We never know.
Well,
I like her personally.
I like her personally. She's a great person as a person. But it takes a lot of courage to be a good leader. And leader, we're talking about transparency, integrity for your people. Sometimes you might be able to be tempted to do things, but you have to think about who put you in that seat and what's the best for everyone, not just for one group of people.
All right. Well, that we've talked about a lot today, and I can't believe it's gone by so fast. And once again, we do miss you, Jenny. She will be back after the election.
I hope so.
Let's read our constitutional quote of the week before we get too far, and then we will close this show up. The constitutional quote of the week, I believe, is going to be amendment number 3.
Page 21.
Page 21. You want to read that, Mr. Professor?
Sure, I'll read it. Amendment 3.
He's going to extend on it.
No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Okay. So a lot of people think this doesn't quite apply anymore because of different things, but this is what they call, the quartering of soldiers, right? And quartering during peacetime, so that they can gather some kind of intelligence about, what's going on
and what to do next.
And there is a case to be made for the fact that listening devices and tracking devices in computers, that track that are a way of quartering soldiers, essentially authorizing computer companies and technology companies to survey what's going on in households in privately owned homes.
And for those who have not, if you have never watched us before, one of the things that I have really been educated on this show about with Jeff is Jeff has been very consistent in talking about the first 4 amendments are very important. Why? Well, because they're based on
they're based on the tyranny that people experienced, and then the lessons from that, the oppression of the British for so long, and King George III. So, we need to have privacy in our papers. We need to be able to assemble. We need to be able to publish political speech. We need to be able to publish anonymously. We need to protect ourselves. Because it's not it. There's nothing in here about shooting deers and squirrels, right? It's about I got to protect myself against foreign invaders, perhaps domestic invaders. And then the Third Amendment we just talked about is quartering, and then the Fourth Amendment is just a protection that you need a judge needs to sign off, and we talked about this before with regard to immigration. So the one person locally is Gary McFadden, who's standing up for the Fourth Amendment in Charlotte, which is why he should be supported,
re-elected as well.
Yeah. Well, we've run out of time, but I want to thank Wendy for being here and telling us about Tom Steyer. Maybe you can pull some strings and get him on the show.
And remember, guys, March 1st he'll be here.
March 1st he'll be here. There will be a Tom Steyer event tonight at Punta Cana restaurant, which is next to my favorite restaurant, Maria's. But they're both good restaurants. But it's at 6:00 tonight. Everyone is invited. Please attend. You were talking about that these are those cards that the ACLU pass out about knowing your rights.
Knowing your rights.
So we want to thank. So we're going to end the show with everyone tell us where you're going to be, as we always do. But once again, thank you so much for watching us and sharing us. And those who will be watching us later on, drinking a glass of wine and hearing our wonderful conversation. I do want to say that, it's political season. Cynthia Wallace, obviously the person that I'm supporting for congressional seat number 9, she's on the ballot. We will have someone from Toole for Lieutenant Governor on the show next week. We will also have Cal Kirby, who is running for a Republican, who's running for a House seat, back on the show next week. Erica Smith is running. She is running for U.S. Senate. So please consider her. But
you're going through all your junk mail.
Yes, that's the reason I'm doing it. Lena Moyen is running against Blake.
I'm going
Judge
for
Blake.
Carl Canahan, but I received an email from Mr. McGreedy. So I don't know. I think I might have to change my mind on that one.
Gomer supports Cal.
Cal is running exactly like Dan McCready, which is why I think he's going to lose.
The little white fences.
You don't know how many commercials I've heard on the radio about after 9/11. He joined the Army Reserve. 9/11 was 20 freaking years ago, and he's still milking 9/11. It's like, good Jesus Christ, get over 9/11. Plus, apparently, he thinks that sending these huge books are going to help him get elected. And that's the reason I'm supporting Erica
He's missing a Latino, though, because you got to keep in mind, we're 17% here in Charlotte.
Now, where's Waldo in this?
Where's Pete?
Right.
Where's Pedro?
Pedro, vote Pedro.
Pedro and Waldo.
All right. Once again, thank you for joining us. And then I believe in 2 weeks from today, we will have a gentleman by the name of Raymond Castillo, who will be on the show.
Yes, Raymond Castillo will be on the show.
Yes.
Ray will be letting y'all a little bit more.
And so,
you know Ray. Do you know Ray?
All right.
Okay, yeah,
so once again, thank you very much. Tell us where you're going to be. Alexa, play Pandora.
I will be, of course, I have a training tonight at the library, Skelly Bart. But then from there, I'm jumping into Punta Cana to go and support Tom Steyer. As everybody knows, that's who I'm supporting this year. And on the weekend, you know, Mama Ruth is a party animal, so she'll be joining an 18th birthday bash party and just enjoying my family.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, I will be at CPCC Halton Theater to see the production of the Chess, the musical, a great musical that was written in the early 80s and played in London for many years. It's a great production. I'm actually going to interview a couple of the actors and the director on the Chess fan page because this is a great meditation on really what was going on during the Cold War and how they were affecting culture and how they were very oppressive on people's lives and individuals.
Yeah. So tonight I will be on Punta Cana and the rest of the week canvassing and talking with people about Tom and inviting people to vote for Tom.
Excellent.
Thank you.
All right.
Where are you going to be at?
I will be at Punta Cana tonight, and then I have to run over to another event to watch the debate, and I'm sure I will be canvassing for someone or doing something. So
Don't forget, go early voting.
Yes,
You
early
still
voting
have
is on.
time.
Yeah.
All right, everybody say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.